As we heard in the earlier segment, 2 out of every 3 South Africans have less than 50,000 in assets, 50,000 rand in assets rather, and will not afford to retire comfortably in the future. Now, to help us get into how people can work on their retirement planning strategies, I'm joined by Wealth Managing Director at Wealth Creed Gugu Sidaki and Certified Financial Planner Ursula Molefe. Thank you, ladies, for joining us on the show today. Now, that number of 50,000 is a bit of a shocker, Gugu. Explain to us, what do we need to do? When do we need to start planning? Is it too late to start planning for the future?
It's a scary set of circumstances that a lot of people are facing in South Africa. I don't think it's ever too late to start saving towards retirement, but obviously it means that you have a lot more to contend with, a lot more issues to contend with the later you start saving towards retirement. There are a lot of things that you need to consider when saving for retirement, and the unfortunate thing is, and what we see in practice, is that a lot of people only start having that conversation or start considering their retirement the closer they get to retirement, and obviously you have fewer levers to play with the closer you get to that date. So the sooner you start to consider your retirement state or the point at which you're going to retire and what that looks like, the better for you.
Ursula, I must suggest that it would seem that when one starts working and you're told that so much by your company is set aside for your pension, that we almost seem to forget the conversation around the planning beyond that. Is this one of those pitfalls?
Yes, because most people, they rely on their pension fund and they never have any other savings besides the pension that they have at work. And that could be a problem because most people, as we can see now, they resign and as a result, their pension fund falls off. So if they don't have extra savings, then they're running the risk of not retiring comfortably.
I suppose one of those other problems is that with COVID in the last couple of years, a lot of people have been let off. And some of those people have eaten into their pension savings, have they not?
Absolutely, and that's the main issue with that statistic that you mentioned earlier, is leakage, whether through resignation or retrenchment, or the issues that we faced with COVID. And that's one of the main reasons why people are not retiring successfully, is because we're accessing our pension and we're saving it. I mean, we're spending it. We're not saving it. We're not putting it away for rainy days. It's actually being spent.
So we all like to live large, bling, and buy all the expensive things. Ursula, is there a formula that one should be using? So if I'm surviving on 50,000 rand at the moment, can I put something into a calculator or into a table of sorts and work out how much I need to be saving currently in order to be able to continue the quality of life I'm enjoying at the moment?
And normally they always advise that whatever you're earning is 10%, you save it away for your retirement. So I know it's for most people, they are unable to do that because of commitments that they have. But that is the formula that we normally use. And I think if people could go by that formula and save 10% of whatever they are earning, they could reach their retirement goals.
Now, Gugu, you save 10%, but where do you put that 10% is the question. Do you put it in the bank? Do you find a vehicle of sorts? What do you actually do?
I think just to add to what Ursula said, you're looking for a formula. So it's a rule of thumb is if for every 5,000 rand that you want to put away, the suggestion is that you're going to need 1 million. So if you're looking at 50,000 rands, you multiply that by 10, roughly. I mean, it's not an exact science, but that's roughly what you're looking at.
This is the part where people collapse, right?
And it's exactly, which is why you don't want to have that conversation at that point when you're about to retire.
Give me that number again. So for every 5,000 rand
that you're wanting to live off, so every 5,000 that you're wanting to earn, you need 1 million rands, roughly. So if you want 50,000, you need about 10 million.
Wow.
To maintain that lifestyle. I mean, obviously these are rules of thumb. Every situation is different, and ultimately what we do is we look at your budget. We look at the things that are going to fall off your budget when you reach the point of retirement. So things like, for example, you're not expected to be looking after family members in retirement, for example. Hopefully your debt is paid off by the time you get to retirement. Hopefully you downscale your home when you get to retirement, so it doesn't cost you as much.
But black tax doesn't always go away, does it?
There are a lot of issues, obviously, that our people are facing when it comes to retirement, and I think it requires a bit of a rethink when we consider retirement. But all of those assumptions are built into that calculation where we say for every 1 million rand you need for every 5,000 rands that you want to withdraw, you need about 1 million.
So Ursula, let's assume that you start working and earning at 25.
Yeah.
You've gone to uni, you've studied, whatever it is, you start earning at 25. That formula, I suppose, holds true, right?
Yeah,
but what happens if I'm waking up and I'm 40 years old or I'm 50 years old and I'm realizing that, gosh, I'm faced with the prospect of retirement in 20 or 25 years. and I'd like to get my act together now, what are my options?
The options is to save more than what we have recommended. If we have said 10% then it means you have to save 20%. And also, it's not even guaranteed because you have lost time. Time is a very important factor when we are investing because of the compounding interest. So a person who started at 25, they have about 40 years of compound interest that it can help grow their money. With you, it's 25 years. So you have lost time, but you'll be saving more. So it's not clear whether you're going to achieve your goals, but in order to try to catch up, you need to save more.
So I want to take you back to teaching these principles to young people, because for many, they may have missed the boat, sadly. But what are the conversations that parents should be having with their kids? You know, when they start earning pocket money and they become teenagers, adolescents, and so on. I mean, how do we protect the future of these young people?
Yeah. I think one of the greatest gifts that you can give your children is that of delayed gratification. So teaching your children not to want, demand, and consume everything at a particular point in time, teaching them to wait. Because an individual who's learned the concept or understands the concept of delayed gratification is a great investor. You know, they're able to put money away and they're able to wait for it, because the ultimate magic of investing is coming up with a little. So that number that Ursula mentioned earlier about, you know, the minute you get to your 20s and you start earning your income, you put away, the recommended amount is 10%. The idea with that is you only come in, so if you put it into numbers, you're only coming up with 10% of what you actually need in the long term. That's actually what you're doing. So if I need $1 million, and if I start in my 20s putting away 10% every year, I'm only going to need to put away 10% of the $1 million, right, which is 100,000. The market is going to reward me for that over time. And that's ultimately what you want with investing. The idea is not for you to come up with all of that money. The idea is for the market to reward you. And when you teach children the concept or the idea of delayed gratification, they become wonderful investors who make a lot of money through investing.
Now, Ursula, the individual who's 40 years old is unlikely to take as much risk as the 25-year-old. Let's talk about risk and how it factors into investment or saving for the future.
Yes. When you are younger, you're able to take more risk because anything can happen. Like when we look at 2008, there was a collapse in the market, and then COVID came, there was another collapse. So you need to be able to recover during those. So if you are in a high-risk portfolio, when there is a collapse, you tend to lose more money than in a conservative portfolio. So it's very important to know what kind of a risk taker you are able to take. But I think a financial planner will help you to select the risk profile that is suitable for you, because it's very hard for an individual to know what risk they must take on an investment. So it's very important to get a financial planner to help you with that.
Gugu, when we talk about financial planner and wealth managers, it all sounds very, very fancy. Right? Now, the majority of South Africans are not in a place where they may have access to a financial planner. Right? So who's the average financial planner for us? You know, if you have a regular savings account or current checking account with the bank, who do you go to for this advice?
And I think that's why you're having a conversation with us, right, is to correct that, because that's incorrect. There's a financial advisor out there for everybody. It's got very little to do with how much you're making, but it's got to do with what kind of intervention you need. There are certain advisors who assist with estate planning, for example, who specialize in that. There are certain advisors who specialize in pure investments. There are others who specialize in risk management, so insurance. So it just depends.
My question is, where are these advisors for the average person?
They are everywhere. So there are a number of platforms where you can find a financial advisor. One of them is the Financial Planning Institute. That's where certified financial planners are listed, right? And depending on the expertise that you require, you can just simply type it in there, and depending on your area as well, they'll all come up. And it lists exactly what their details are, what they specialize in, what their experience is, and where they're located. So the idea is for you to actually do the homework. Go find them, but they are there. So
I don't mean to be pedantic, but for me the real picture is if I'm somewhere out in the communities and I'm struggling to make ends meet, the chances of thinking or running into a financial planner, I mean, you guys here and I'm here, so it's easy for me, right? So what about the women that are doing the stock vault, you know, to save money, or the individuals, you know, who's got his little business on a street corner, you know, or the guy who's got his spaza shop. We're the financial planners for him. I suppose the question I'm asking is, does the current system in South Africa equip us with, or give us financial planning tools at an early age? Or is it something that you then have to look for because I know you and I know you, so we've had the conversation? But does the typical person plan for the future? And I'd like to think that they don't. And the reason is that these services are not readily available for the average person.
I think the services are readily available for the average person, but the average person is not aware that the services are readily available. I think that's the difference.
So how do we create that awareness? Because I think that's the important thing.
So I think the first step obviously is to look online. Unfortunately, is to find individuals such as ourselves, and from there the information is made available to individuals. So there are a lot of free courses, for example. There are a lot of free sessions that you can attend that are provided by people such as ourselves, pro bono sessions that are funded by the Financial Planning Institute, for example. And as you quite rightly pointed out, the average person does not know that, but also the average person is not necessarily looking for a financial advisor. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation.
Certainly is a chicken and egg situation, but obviously extremely helpful. Ladies, I most appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. We've been speaking to Gugu Sidaki, Certified Financial Planner, and Ursula Malebo Molefe. Appreciate your time and giving us clarity on what it is that we need to do in order to save for a rainy day, and that rainy day could be retirement.